Thank you for staying with us. Let's begin with the legal fireworks over President Bola Tinubu's academic record in the United States of America. In continuation of the legal battle, the United States District Court in the Northern District of Illinois has ordered the Chicago State University to release President Tinubu's academic record. Jide, what is the implication of this? Release the academic record of Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Bola Ahmed Tinubu appealed this decision last week, and the way it is now, the record should be released today.
That is if they do not appeal before a higher court. That is not the... Every state in the U.S. has its own Supreme Court. They can appeal. It all depends on what the lawyers want. Because I've spoken with some lawyers and they are saying, look, it's not as if Atiku can find a smoking gun. But in law, we will not make it easy for you. That's why you see people who knew that, okay, they lost an election. They will still try to, lawyers will still try to pursue.
Why do you think Bola Tinubu does not want Atiku to have access to his academic record?
He's the one who can answer that question. But for me, if you are asking for my transcript, for example, I will oppose it. Because in my first few years in the university, I was very playful, I was distracted, and I didn't do quite well. But as time went on, and it dawned on me that is anything wrong with you? Then, if my performance in my last year in the university, if I had been that serious from the beginning, I would have conveniently scored a 2-1.
Convenient.
Yes, nobody scored the first class in Uniloni at that time. Faculty of Arts, Faculty of Social Sciences. Where are you going to see 2-1 first class? If you have, in fact, Faculty of Social Sciences, if you have 2-1, they will jubilate in the Uniloni that I attended. So back then, first class was a reality. Ask anybody that went to school the same time with me, or even some years before me.
The same thing to
so
the 90s.
it was not easy. But I'm saying that if I had worked hard, the way I worked hard in my final year, with those high unit courses, that was the way I did well in my first 2 years, for example. I would have conveniently been...
The more your CGPA, the more cumbersome it becomes too.
So I was, you know, I got involved in the press club and so many other things that distracted me, you know. And if you said you wanted to check my transcript, for example, I would say why. I would defend it with all that I've got, because you can use it. You can ridicule me with it because I didn't do quite well. It's my first 2 years, and I'm not ashamed to say it, because at the end of the day, I got what I wanted, and I'm happy that I'm living my dream. So it's not something to be afraid of. I'm confessing my first 2 years. The people who went to school with us, they know I'm saying the truth. I will not read, just even when I was in A-levels, I will only prepare for exam when it's like 1 day, 2 days to the exam. I will not study at night the way others were studying. So everyone has a past. Everyone has something that they want to guide jealously. Some of the people saying today that why does he want to, how many of them can produce their transcript? How many of them? Some people, if you scrutinize how they even got into university, some of them got into university with forged papers. Some of the people making all the noise, they can't even defend their degrees. Let them come out, let's ask them questions about their area of study. They can't defend. We are in an age when people, you see somebody told me that he entered a master's class and he felt like crying, to tell you the level to which education has sunk in our country.
Did you listen to that quiz competition?
By those, the Big Brother, funny people. Yes. If we play, they don't even know anything. They don't know jack about their country. Somebody who read law does not even know
Court of Appeal.
He doesn't know what they asked him.
No judiciary.
He doesn't know anything about the judiciary. So let's even leave that. Let's not distract ourselves with that. But it is Tinubu knows why he does not want those records released. In any case, as Atiku brought his own academic records to the table for us to scrutinize all of his days in that school in Kano that he went to, as he brought it out, does anyone know his performance in school as a primary school student or even secondary school? Has he made that available to everybody? No, it's easy to say because someone is president, he has to bring. How often does that happen? I can tell you what they've told the court in the US is that they need it for Supreme Court. But you and I know, and in the fullness of time, you see that what they are looking for is useless. The Supreme Court will not take a fresh evidence. What you did not, it's just what we already know, that what you did not file, what you do not plead at the lower court, you can't take before even the appeal court, not to talk of the Supreme Court. There are processes about this thing, but they say, they must give them before October 5, so that, okay, when they give you, use it to remove him as president. Let us see. But they've succeeded in getting the Americans to do their bidding, except the lawyers. I don't know what will happen. Maybe at the last minute, the lawyers can still appeal. We don't know.
12 noon in their own time.
But in terms of the evidence,
6 p.m.
They cannot use whatever is provided at the Supreme Court.
Okay. Now, we want to look at the nexus between what they are doing and the Supreme Court. Me, I had to call my lawyer friend that what bearing
does he have on
the ongoing case at the Supreme Court, and he was like, no. So that it might just be an academic exercise
to embarrass them,
and to damage.
If they can find something,
for Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
Yeah, I think the matter is beyond whether Atiku wants to be president this time or not. Atiku has made up his mind what Yoruba will call Kakekuma justice. That's the principle. I've known this man all my life. I was his boss in PDM. He was my boy when I was vice president. Now he's president before me. That cannot happen, but it has happened. What can I do to make myself feel better? Let's destroy his image. Because legally, there's nothing they can do. I called our lawyers. So what's this? What does it mean? And they said, it meant nothing. And basically, this is what the Americans themselves will call gaslighting. Basically, something you to just throw you off the sense. So the people will ask you, well, you did not win this election. And you cannot tell them, no, I did not win, but I would have won if this man was not on the ticket.
No, you know, the strategy is still the same.
Yeah.
They know that they didn't win the election. And they do not have evidence to show that they won.
Yeah.
Their whole strategy was built around having Bola Ahmed Tinubu disqualified. Disqualified. Especially the Labour Party. No one has shown me where Peter Obi argued that he won the election and provided the figures.
Yeah.
That, okay, these were the votes that I scored in Kano. This was what was recorded against my name.
This is the outstanding.
This is what they stole from me by way of votes that I won legally. Peter Obi didn't do that. All they're after is, the vice president is not legally nominated. Therefore, he should be disqualified. Even after to show you that it's like they were just looking for.
They are fishing.
When the Supreme Court ruled on May 28th that the vice president was legally nominated, and became candidate legally, you would think that they won't be pushing that same argument at the lower tribunal, at the appeal court, at the presidential election court. They still argued that frenetically. Even after another of the most superior court in our country has given. So if they had grounds, valid grounds, enough valid grounds, you won't be pushing a matter that already decided against you in the apex court of the land.
Labor is even fine. APM was dismissed from Supreme Court on the very matter. They are now going back to the same Supreme Court after going through the process to return to the same judges that told you less than 3 months ago that you have no case.
So their best bet was to have Tinubu disqualified. That was their biggest strategy because they cannot prove that they won the election. So get him out of the race, get him disqualified. That was all they wanted. So even this one, the evidence here will not prove that you were the one that Nigerians voted for. The evidence that you are looking for in the US will not prove that you won the election, that Nigerians elected you over and above this fellow. You are just thinking that, okay, you can use this to embarrass him. And I read something, one of the Twitter posts that Atiku made then. Atiku said that we even want to see the certificate that he used to get into that university. What Atiku failed to know, because he neither studied in any university in Nigeria nor the US. What Atiku does not know is that in the US, you do not even need a certificate to get into a university. Many universities will conduct an aptitude test for you. If you can pass, they allow you.
Or TOEFL.
Yes.
In America, particularly.
I have a friend who did not use his secondary school certificate, and he graduated from a US university as an engineer with honors.
Test of English and a foreign language.
Yes.
Scholastic aptitude tests.
They do this aptitude test for you. The aptitude test is the true test of your grasp of issues and all that. So when I read that, I said, what if that man didn't even
go through?
So maybe they thought he has some forged certificate somewhere, you know, with one funny name that he used to get into the university. But you don't have in the US. Some were also arguing that how come he spent just 2 years. And I've mentioned the case of my mom. My mom called me yesterday to say, I heard when you were mentioning my name.
Yeah.
She got into the US university. She left Nigeria December 1980 and came back in the summer of 82 with a degree and a master's. She only had NC from Advanced Teachers College, Kano, before she traveled to Ohio, and a degree and a master's. So their system is different. You expect that, okay, you must spend 4 years. But that is not it's the course system that they use. So you log all of those hours. You are very hardworking. You can get your degree in a matter of 1 year.
Yeah, you can even do both together at the same time. Because most of the time, I think what we are really looking at, like you mentioned, was basically a man grasping at straws. Because if it's not legally binding to disqualify the president, what is the purpose of this?
Maybe some lawyers told him, look, you can still succeed at the Supreme Court. Have we not seen lawyers who sheepishly told politicians that the Supreme Court can reverse itself? And not one, no, not twice, not thrice. The politicians do it. They lost, too. They went back to the same Supreme Court. Andy Oba did it.
Yes.
Andy Oba did it.
The Imo statesman, the Okorocha.
How do you go back to the Supreme Court? And that was why one of the judges of the Supreme Court burst into tears, that she never knew that day would come when senior lawyers who should know better will come and tell the Supreme Court to reverse itself. It's against the Constitution for the Supreme Court to reverse it. So it could be this kind of lawyers who told them, look, we can still win at the Supreme Court.
Okay. All right.